Really? Wow, everything is running slow for me. I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to hold up. I got so much buffering going on here today. Come on. Are you gonna work today or not? Maybe not. I don't know if it's gonna hold. I'm buffering really bad. But I'm willing to try, so we shall see. Oh man. Garlic, garlic, garlic. Who's got the garlic? Oh, I got these radishes that are absolutely phenomenal. Mr. Alf, let's see if it holds because it was buffering really bad for me. See, there go the lights again. So I may be buffering hardcore. I don't know. I don't know. What was I talking about? Oh, radishes. I got these neat little seed pods popping up. Um, they got about I don't know, 5, 6 seeds in each one of the pods. Um, some of them are starting to dehydrate in place. Others aren't. Um, so I'm thinking about maybe what that's supposed to do is prep the soil for the seed. I know that's going to confuse a lot of people. In Mother Nature's world, we don't have refrigerators. We have birds and other animals that pick up the different things to eat, carry them away in their digestive tract, and or carry them away and bury them. Like you see squirrels with nuts. Um, so maybe, just maybe, these seed pods are supposed to prep the soil to help the seeds germinate over winter. Being that I've got it all fenced off, I can't tell. I don't know what nature would do here. It's kind of one of them funky things. Um, but well, yeah. Hey, Mr. Frozen. Good morning, sir. Appreciate you stopping in, brother. I'm gonna do a stream one day directly off your channel and just play your music on one of my accounts, um, just for a heads up, so I can try and drive some traffic your way. Um, I don't know if it's going to commercialize or not. I don't know if it's going to cause me buffer problems or not, but oh, screw it. What the hell? It's about helping people out. But anyhow, where was I going? Oh, when you're planting winter seed, bulbing, whatever, some of us don't have the luxury of a sawmill, hint, hint, and able to build our own greenhouse. So that kind of becomes an issue. Um, for the germination pollination part, blah blah blah. Um, so we're stuck depending on soil winter conditions to cause these seeds to go into growth cycle. But you got to think about what nature does, and that's the hardest part about explaining most of this to anybody is understanding nature's cycle. Let's think about, just for the easier part of it, let's talk about just like a cherry. Okay, a bird will come, grab part of the cherry, it'll munch on it, it'll carry it away, and it'll drop it somewhere. Well, if all things are equal and nothing else picks up on that, the food web is going to start working on that. What do you call it? The meat of that fruit, of the meat of that cherry, and start breaking it down. The acids are going to start breaking it down. Good morning, Deidre. How's your foot, dear? Um, so you're going to start getting this molding effect and what have you. And if the soil conditions are right, and this is tricky for a lot of people, everybody wants to get out there, rototill, and da 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 da. In nature, you don't do that. The seed, as it's going through its thing, if you ever watch something in high speed, photo after photo after photo type of deal, hey, Rotten, um, you will see the actual seed sink into the soil over time. Well, man in his wisdom is, rototilling the hell out of it and destroying the food web and sticking seeds in the ground and then scratching his head as to why nothing worked. Well, if you were actually in Mother Nature's way, and I know I'm losing a lot of you here, but in Mother Nature's way, if you were to think about what the meat of all of these different seeds are, or seed pods, or what have you, those things are specifically designed to get the soil and the food web to start breaking that down and bring those seeds to germination next year in the spring. The whole reason I'm bringing all of this up is we're now starting to reach the temperatures across the country, uh, 52 and lower. So anything that you're thinking of that, like bulbs for flower people and what have you, and my brain is all garlic, but I have to stop this year and stop myself and question, okay, what about radishes? Because I'm seeing seed pods come off these giant radishes. I know there's no such thing, right? You'd have to go back and see my radish video. I'm creating a video without having anything in front of me to show you. I could go pull it, but the dang thing is so big I couldn't get it in the door. My radish is now 6 by 6. All my radishes that I planted 60 days ago, 80 days ago, they're 6 by 6 coming up out of the soil now. They're huge. They were only supposed to be the size of a quarter. But these things are producing seed pods. And I'm sitting back scratching my head going, okay, what do I do with this? When you open up a pack of radishes that, and these are the size of a quarter roughly. When you open up a pack of radishes, they've got the seeds from the seed pod. So somebody had to actually sit down, bless their heart, and break each one of these seed pods open to get 6 little seeds inside this package to put 100 seeds in here, 70 to 100 seeds in here. And I'm sitting back thinking, wait a minute. Here come these seed pods, had nothing to do with the flowers. Radishes, they're different. They're a different beast. So why not just transplant and or cut off these seed pods and stick them in the ground? Because then they can do what nature would have them do. And that would be to enhance the food web, bring the mold and the fungus, if that's what you want to call it, directly to the seed pod, start breaking it down, and prep the soil around each one of those seeds. And I realize that's going to give me 5 or 6 radishes right there on that one spot. Okay. And I mean, I want to amp this bed up. I want to get the nitrogen levels up in this bed. Why wouldn't I? But this is nature's way. We don't garden nature's way. You know, you'll see some videos pop up every once in a while. Somebody bucket gardening tomatoes, and he'll take a tomato from the grocery store, out of the refrigerator roughly, slice that sucker with all the seeds in it, and lay it on the dirt, and he'll get fantastic tomatoes and not understand what he did. Well, what he did was he allowed Mother Nature to come in with the food web, which is all my book preaches about. And I'll stop real quick just to do the commercial part. The book's available on Amazon worldwide. It is the Green Wizard's Guide. You can also find the. I can't even do a commercial right. My God. You'll find the book on my website, Green Wizard's Guide, or greenwizardguide.com, and you can purchase a signed copy. Okay, that aside, back to what we were talking about. The guy will take this tomato and he'll drop it on the soil and leave it alone, and then he'll do a picture after a picture after a picture, day after day, and show how his tomatoes, because he's this fantastic gardener, has all of a sudden turned into all of these tomato plants in this bucket. And nowhere in there does he talk about how the tomato, the heart of the tomato, all of the gook and all of the stuff that's around the seeds and what have you, all of that broke down in nature's way and instantly started spreading out the food web and these tendrils and microscopic single-celled organisms and what have you throughout the soil in this bucket, and made this soil hyperactive to what those seeds are going to need as the heart of that tomato broke down. That's nature's way. That's how things work in the wild. If we treated our gardens, more of our gardens, nature's way, our abundance would be 10 times greater. So I'm not necessarily saying, hey, if you have a specific tomato that you really, really like, take that tomato, go over to the soil, dig a little hole, stick that sucker in the ground, and step back and let it run wild. That's something I would do because I'm crazy about the soil and I'm crazy about understanding this kind of stuff. That's not something I would necessarily recommend you guys to do. I would say you start looking at what else is around a tomato seed, like a tomato seed, that will break down in the soil, hint, 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 and get that food web active. Now, whether that be manure, alfalfa pellets, old sawdust, stuff that Mother Nature can attack, stuff that the food web can come in and start eating around that seed and get that food web working with that seed and get that thing active. Now, one of the better ones I really truly enjoy, and I really think more people need to look at, and I can never find it after the fact, which just goes to prove the so-called theory, is that when you're going to plant a tomato, whether you're taking it from a seedling and sticking it in the soil, or you're going from the direct seed and starting early and plant a corn cob under it, an empty, old, dried out corn cob. Stuff that sucker in the ground. What it does is hyperactivates a lot of the breakdown of the food web down below the roots of your tomato plant. And the food web comes in and digests the living daylights out of it, breaks it all down, but it gives you a storage pocket for water. It gives you a hyperactive food web as big as that stalk is, or as big as that corn cob is, of nothing but food web going absolutely bonkers. Then when your seed roots come in contact with it and give out its demand of what that seed specifically needs, the food web reads that information and takes off to go get it all. Now, if you provide it all, right there, are you helping or are you hurting your soil? That's still in question. Really think about that. What happens when you put somebody in a chair and then you bring them everything they possibly need? And I'm not going to point at anybody. I know you all just had an instant thought of somebody in your head, but just stop. If you dump everything in the soil right there next to your plant for what it truly needs, and Sherry Kay's fighting this with one of her plants, her soil's abundance has changed and it's hurting one of the plants that she's trying to keep alive. It's an old one. Um, you can actually make your plant weaker because the root doesn't need to go anywhere. You see trees falling over, you see plants falling over, you see corn stalks that are 6 feet, 8 feet tall. That's it. Issues, issues. If you really want to, if you want to make your plants work, give them what they need in pockets throughout your garden. You know how I talk about not rototilling, but you still need to get certain things into the soil to feed the soil. And good morning, Sherry. What you can do is compost in pockets. You know, that just confused a bunch of you. Dig a hole, stick some compost in there, cover the hole back up. As that stuff breaks down, if you've added any other amendments, when the food web goes active and your plants start to grow, the food web is going to find those things in those pockets. And the roots in the food web are going to travel that way to get to those pockets, giving you a stronger root base. Just like when you water, you don't water the actual plant, you water the roots because you want the roots to be drinking everything up, making the roots even stronger. Okay, thank Mother Nature. I'm not saying that my way's right or wrong. Look at your conditions and thank Mother Nature. That's what's going to make your plants stronger, healthier. That's what's going to make the food web go out and get the stuff it needs and bring it all back to you. So going back to where I was headed, you know, we're at that time of year. Is this the time of year to be digging your pockets in your gardens and throwing in your food scraps? Probably. This is also the time to start sticking in those seeds for your winter gardens and possibly next year's gardens. A lot of these seeds, a good majority of these seeds, will not do anything if the soil's below 52 degrees. So 52 and lower, you're storing your seeds for next year. So if you dig a hole, throw in a tomato, cover it back up, that starts to break down in the soil. The worms are going to come in. This is going to happen. That's going to happen. The food web's going to explode. The soil's too cold. It's not going to allow the seeds to germinate. So you're safe till next spring. Then these plants are going to start popping up. This is where I kind of bounce back off the ALF deal because, hey, I don't have a greenhouse, but I'm still going to have tomatoes coming up out of the ground before the greenhouse does. When you work with Mother Nature rewards you. The whole point of today's BS is soil temperatures. Now's the time for garlic. Watch for 50, 52. That's where you want to be. Yeah, you don't want to be out there when it's 50 degrees digging a hole in cold soil. I get that. But when you're bouncing from 52 at night, 50 degrees at night to 70, 75, that's the time to start thinking about your garden, prepping all of your flower beds and what have you. It's time to, I hate to say it, but it's time to go to work, Bobby. Get off the couch and go to work on your garden for next year. God forbid work is in this vocabulary. Hey, Grandpa, thanks for coming in. Uh, well, and I'm catching up with what everybody had to say. Oh, happy birthday, Sherry. Wait, really? Sherry, is today your birthday? Let me back that up a second. Again, Sherry, is this your birth? Is today your birthday? Did I miss something? All right, my chat's running slow, so I'm not seeing it. Okay. Okay. You know I gotta do it. You know I have to. Ugh. Let's find something goofy. Because it's Sherry. Yay, chipmunks. That'll work. Oh, that'll work. Oh, where are we? There you go. All right. Hopefully, I was the first one to get you. Hopefully. Hey, Miss Alicia, hugs, sweetheart. Thank you for stopping in. But yeah, where was I? Anybody got a clue? Oh, soil temperatures and prepping your gardens. When you're talking 40s and 50s, a lot of people are looking at their gardens and looking at their soil, going, "I don't understand. What do you want me to do here?" Look, I'm telling Alf as he's attempting to restore the soils on his property and bring back nothing but grasses, and how to prep that soil and make it more food web friendly. Never uncover your soil. Grandpa, I haven't seen your garden yet. Haven't heard much of a report back from you yet, but I understand you had great success this year in your gardens. Awesome. Glad to hear it. Um, you want to be gathering hay. Get the old stuff. Don't go. Nobody. I'm telling you, nobody go buy new. Wait for people for Halloween for people to be throwing this stuff away and it to be sitting out. Go get it. Or if you see somebody that's got hay bales around their house or what have you for their Halloween decorations, what have you, go ask them if you can have them when they're done. Or twigs and leaves and or high grass or whatever doesn't. Wintertime is the time to junk up your garden, to junk up your flower beds and lay on a thick blanket of Mother Nature. So you want to knock down the high grasses, you want to knock down your weeds, you want to You want to cover your soil. You don't want to see soil. You want 3 inches or greater. And Grandpa, I would be looking at 4 inches if I were you up there in Maine in that area. Sherry, again, um, you guys, you guys get cold. You need a thick blanket of anything. I don't care what it is. You've got to cover that to help keep the food web active. Now I know a lot of people are sitting back going, wait a minute, Ron, hold it, stop, wait. I get a food web and I get active bacterials and I get this, that, and the other that you're talking about in my garden, whether my soil is exposed or not. Yes, you do. The food web, Mother Nature in her wisdom has given these bacteria, these micro life forms, the ability to go into dormancy stage in the soil. They have trouble and they struggle in temperatures at 0 and below. If you can blanket it and you can leave a thatch layer in your lawn, or in Al's case, he's actually got a little bit better. He's got some wood chips, not sawdust, but wood chips. Anything, get it laid out, get it laid down, and get these beds covered. Yes, the food web may still go dormant, but the worms never do. The worms don't go to sleep. They just go deeper. And if you're giving them someplace they can come up for air and come up for sunlight and come up for warmth, this is the part I want you guys thinking about. Those worms are going to be coming and going all winter long. And they're going to be aerating. They're going to be causing 18 feet, 20 feet tunnels throughout your garden, throughout your flower beds, throughout your yard and your lawns, all winter long, naturally aerating everything. If you're putting down the amendments and you're putting down things that are going to break down bacterial wise, and your leaves, hay, grass, alfalfa, what have you, those worms are going to be hyperactive in those areas. No rototiller needed to get water storage, water consumption, sunlight, aeration, all the conditions that Mother Nature needs in gardens, flower beds, and yards, so that you never have to water, so that you don't have to go out of your way to do these things. That's how you keep from having to work your garden, is by giving it the ability to do everything without you. So if you cover in the winter, you're not having to rototill in the spring to plant anything. If you've already got it planted and it's sat all winter, it's coming up without your help. Here's the neat thing. A lot of the weeds won't come up through this blanket. They will actually die off because they can't get to the sunlight. That's key here. And I got a feeling that's how Mother Nature works. Let's say, going back to the tomato discussion and putting a tomato on a bucket. If you take a tomato and throw it in the ground and then you put this blanket on, when the soil temperatures reach the right temperature and those plants start to germinate, the only ones coming up in nature's way, the only ones coming up through the blanket are the healthiest and the strongest. The rest are just going to come up and die off. So you may put a tomato down and it may have 25 seeds in it. But what are you going to get coming up through that? Maybe 2 tomato plants. Those 2 are going to be the strongest and the healthiest because they had to work for it. That's nature's way. That's why you got to think about this kind of stuff, like with the garlic, like what I've been talking about. What are you going to plant? How are you going to plant? Well, that's not going to stop. That's going to get worse. So I'm going to have to shut off because I've got some outside noise I can't control. Sounds like the city's out there. But Time to start thinking about your gardens, your fall prep. Time to start looking at your soils and thinking about what Mother Nature does. Time to start looking at what you want from your garden next year and how you're going to use nature's rototillers to make everything happier, stronger, and healthier with less of your assistance. Because nobody needs to be out there weeding their garden or their flower beds or their yard for that matter. All of that's covered in the Green Wizard's Guide. I'm going to shut it off, everybody. Alf, go ahead and fire up. We'll see y'all later. I can't control this outside noise, so y'all have a great day. Again, Sherry, happy birthday. We'll see y'all later, everybody. Have a great day. And hi, Anna, I'm crazy. I saw you pop in there, but I'm shutting it down. I'm done spewing my information about the seeds. We'll talk to y'all later. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you around in the streams. Appreciate you, everybody.